hearings on various projects upcoming in various parts. Why don't we begin the conference agenda?
Freeholders Actor, Best, Duffy, James, Lepore, Deputy Director Lazara, Director Bartlett.
Here. Will you take over?
Certainly. Thank you, Director. Our first public hearing is on the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection Green Acres Program grant application for the Westervelt Vanderhoof House Historic Landscape Restoration. Lou, I think you have it.
The following public hearing was advertised in the Berger Record on January 27, 2019, specifying the time, date, and location of the public meeting. The public hearing is for a grant application to be submitted to the County of Passaic, submitted by the County of Passaic to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection Green Acres Program. The County of Passaic will submit a grant application to the Green Acres Program for the Westervelt Vanderhoof House Historic Landscape Restoration Project in Weaselbrook Park in the city of Clifton, New Jersey. Freeholders Actor, Best, Duffy, James, Lepore, Deputy Director Lazara, Director Bartlett.
And for those of you for whom that wasn't clear enough, there are certain laws, including the state green acres, that require us to have a separate hearing. This isn't actually the freeholder meeting yet. A separate hearing when we're making a grant application. This is the first of two such hearings that we're having today, and Lou already laid out today's topic. So with that, can I have a motion to open?
Do we want to put Kelly on the spot and have a brief explanation? You're shaking your head. Yes, Kelly. Great. Come on up. For the record, she was shaking her head now.
But she's not here.
But she's going to do it anyway.
Kelly Raffella, our Director of...
You can sit right here, Kelly. Just a brief explanation of what the application.
For the Vanderhoof House. So we recently restored the Vanderhoof House, and around, it's in a residential neighborhood, so there's a lot of fencing, sort of dead shrubbery and trees, so we're removing all of that to create like a new view shed with plantings. We'll create sort of a recreational area so that people can come and picnic, or we can do events behind and around the Vanderhoof House, so just more, I guess, visitor friendly.
Perfect. Thank you. You can stay there just in case there's any comment from the public.
And I'll mention actually a little bit earlier at 5 o'clock, Friends of the State County Parks met here with two other public hearings. So altogether between Friends of the Parks and the county, we're able to apply for 4 different Green Acres grants this year. I'm not going to make you describe those, Kelly. But let me take a motion to open the public hearing on the grant application of the Green Acres program for the Westervelt Vanderhoof House Historic Landscape Restoration Project in Weaselbrook Park in the city of Clifton, New Jersey.
Yep. Freeholders Duffy.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Deputy Director Lazara. Yes. Director Bartlett.
Yes. Does anyone present desire to be heard on this application?
Seeing no one's voting, I'm moved to close the public portion.
Second.
Freeholders Duffy.
Yes.
James. Deputy Director Lazara.
Yes.
Director Bartlett.
Yes. Can I have a motion to adjourn that?
Make that motion. Second.
Yeah, we don't have to. Freeholders Duffy.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Deputy Director Lazara.
Yes.
Director Bartlett.
Yes.
And then these, thank you, Kelly. I appreciate that. Jonathan, I'm going to put you on the spot now, too, if that's okay. The second public hearing is for an application to be submitted by the County of Passaic to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection Green Acres Program for a grant application to Green Acres for Rifle Camp Park Phase 1 improvements. Rifle Camp Park, as many of you know, is located in Woodland Park. Jonathan, why don't you just give us a brief description of some of the work that we're looking at.
Thank you, Timothy. Freeholders. What the project entails, we plan on renovating. There's currently 3 bathrooms on the park. We plan to renovate those bathrooms to make them in compliance. 2 of the bathrooms need new roofs. We're going to add electric to the one by the Point Bragg parking lot. We're going to add a park course along those parts of the trails out there now. We're going to install 2 sets of age-appropriate playgrounds. They're going to be by the Carney Bragg parking lot is one set, and the one by the Warm and Shelter parking lot area. Plan to construct a dog park area that's located by the entrance to the Carney Bragg parking lot to the right. So it's on the main road of the park, it's right to the right, there's a clearing out there now that we're going to put a dog park area there. That dog park will be broken up into 2 parts. There's a small dog area, about 2.2 acres, and the large dog park area will be about 0.4 acres. It's smaller than what we originally anticipated in the early part of design. We also plan on putting a pavilion just downhill of where the Warm and Shelter is now. Right now, that area is a paved area with a old piece of exercise equipment there, a little basketball net. That will be replaced with a pavilion. At this point, we're looking at about 50 by 100, give or take. We'll try to work out the size based on the grading right now, try to minimize tree removal as much as possible for that. Also, by the pond area, we put in 2 or 3 benches in along by the path, just to make it a little more user-friendly to have people sit down while they're walking. Up by the camping area, there's shelters there now. We're going to rehab those to make it a little more structurally compliant, a little beat up right now. Also, do some maintenance. There is the old toboggan run that's going to be removed, and there's an old inactive bathroom in the wooded area that's been inactive for at least a decade. We're just going to demo that building and just demo. That's pretty much the extent of it.
Thank
Can I
you.
just ask one quick question? Are either one of the playgrounds going to be geared toward developmentally disabled children?
Right now we have, with the playgrounds, there's 2 sets. There's one set for age 2 to 5 and one from 5 to 12. And we're still looking at the different equipment, but we definitely looked into that, have at least one of them for that sector of the community.
Thank you.
And through the chair, they'll be handicapped as well. They'll be handicapped?
Yeah, as much as possible, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think, through the chair, I think that's our wish. One of them should be.
Right.
Right.
Yes. That, Mayor Laura has done it in Passaic, and I think that it's time we have one of them more parks.
Yeah, it should be paramount that we do that.
And not part of this public hearing, but in Gothenburg Park, we're going to be redoing there, and we've talked about making it handicapped accessible. We'll be removing one that was built back in the 90s, which has seen its better days. But that is also on slate for Gothenburg Park.
They form roof playgrounds?
Right. The key with especially for children with autism is being fenced in.
Yeah.
There's one in Woodland Park that actually is a great facility. So, it wasn't that big, something you're in.
But Lou, I know we kind of got ahead and I apologize, but we should read the Open Public Meetings Act for this public hearing as well.
The following public hearing was advertised in the Bergen Record on January 27, 2019, specifying the time, date, and location of the public hearing. And we've already done the description. This is for the county's application to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection Agency, Green Acres Program. Roll call. Freeholders, Apter, Best, Duffy,
Here.
James, Lepore, Deputy Director Lazare,
Here.
Director Bartlett.
Here. So let me take a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Freeholders, Duffy.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Deputy Director Lazare.
Yes.
Director Bartlett.
Yes. Does anyone present desire to be heard regarding this application? Here. So, Vera, I know you're familiar, and probably many in the room are, but this is the same as any public portion where you come to the podium. You have 3 minutes, and we ask you to start with your name and address, and also sign it.
Okay, my name is Vera Lazar. My address is 22 Spencer Avenue in Clifton. I'm glad to see that the county is looking to restore and revitalize our parks and historic buildings. I would like to say a few words on the rifle camp project. First, I would like to say that I definitely agree with the adding one of the playgrounds to be for the handicapped or disabled. I agree with that. Okay, and I'm glad to see that the dog park has been moved from its original location. The new site does appear to be more appropriate with better access and less need for tree removals. The main concern I have in this area is whether runoff would impact the water quality of the Third River headwaters and Great Notch Reservoir. I don't know if that's an issue, but that would be the one concern. I'm also glad to see the location of the pavilion has been moved away from the Carney Bragg picnic area. And I do hope that tree removals will be kept to a minimum, especially with regards to large, healthy trees. I'm glad that the PAR fitness course will be included. I'm looking forward to that. And also glad to learn that the race loop has been eliminated from the plan. And finally, I would like to mention again that on the original plan for rifle camp, there was an area set aside as a natural area. And I think it would be a wonderful idea if this area could be officially designated as a Rifle Camp Park natural area. This would not cost the county any money, except perhaps the cost of a sign, and it would provide permanent protection for this important and unique natural ecosystem. Thank you.
Let the record reflect that Freeholder is late again.
Ann Schnackenberg, 268 Washington Ave, Clifton, New Jersey. Hi there. I have to say, just off the cuff, that I agree with Vera as far as making sure that the positioning of things is in safe distance of any waterways or watershed areas that might be affected, and it'd be good to hear more about that. And I'm here tonight from the Rifle Camp Park Coalition, just to remind you tonight that money spent to preserve nature and natural public open space is money well spent. Coalition members and friends were recently very happy to see that in nearby Bergen County, that officials there moved to not develop a natural area in one of their parks. And you can see the outcry for preservation of these open spaces, these natural spaces, in areas that are similar population densities to our own. So I just wanted you to keep that in mind. It looks like you made some innovative changes. Hopefully we'll, continue to hear more about that. And just remember, nature matters. We're glad to see that there's indications that public is being heard. And again, keep in mind, it's a state, and you've heard me say this a million times, it's a state and national Audubon important bird area, national natural landmark. It's bigger than just Passaic County because of its location up on that mountain. So nature matters to the people very much in Lower Passaic County. Nature's important to our physical and mental health and well-being of the residents, especially in densely populated areas like this. Nature's important. So I'm going to ask you also, please preserve the majority of this park as a special natural area for generations to come. Thank you.
Seeing no one voting, I move to close the public portion.
Freeholders Duffy?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Lepore?
Yes.
Deputy Director Lazare? Director Bartlett?
Yes. Thank you both for your comments. You've been just as an advocate for that park, and it's really good on the changes that have been made to. Do you have a question?
Director, before you close, I just would like to also say that at second reading tonight, ordinance 2019-4 is Chapter 12 bonding for the community college. In part, some of that money will be spent on design for the new nature center in Rifle Camp Park as well. So just kind of ties in with what the public meeting I just wanted to let you know that.
Thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. Can I have a motion to adjourn this public hearing?
Freeholders, Duffy.
Yes.
James. Lepore. Deputy Director Lazare.
Yes.
Director Bartlett.
Yes. And with that, I can introduce you on your way down. That brings us to the next part of our conference agenda, which is the presentation of the 2019 budget for the County of Passaic. The law requires us to have our budget by mid-year, and I want to commend you, Anthony, and your whole team on always being very much ahead of the curve. Here we are at our first February meeting, and I got a preview of this at our budget committee meeting, and I think I'm looking forward to it, and I'm hoping the public will be very pleased with this year's meeting.
Thank you, Director. Okay. Well, first, thank you very much, and I thank, as always, our Budget Committee, chaired by Freeholder Lepore, as well as the Director and the Deputy Director, both on the committee as well. It gets easier every year, thankfully. We have this down to a pretty good science. I also would like to thank all of the department heads, all the constitutional officers, because they really now, I think, know exactly what we're looking for when they come into budget meetings. Some departments we don't even bother. I mean, they come in below a 2% increase from year to year. There's really not even a need to sit down with them unless there are other issues that they want to discuss. But again, we have got this down to a pretty good science. So I'm going to begin. I think everyone knows, to my far right is Deputy Administrator Matt Jordan, our CFO extraordinaire, Mr. Cahill. Our auditor could not be here tonight due to inclement weather. Sounds like an excuse to me, but we'll give him a pass. So again, just to give you a timeline, every year we start the process somewhere around July. Rich's office will send out a letter to all the department heads telling them that they should begin to put their budget together. Those budget requests should be submitted to finance, and were. I think this may have been the first year where every single department had submitted by September 14th. Sometimes the larger departments will ask if they could get a little bit of an extension. But again, because I think everyone knows the process, all budgets were submitted to finance on September 14th, and the three people that you see sitting here before you today began to meet with department heads on September 18th. We completed those meetings on November 8th. We have the annual financial statement, which was completed in January, and we sit here today before you for introduction of this budget on February 12th, with the public hearing and hopeful adoption on March 12th. So as you know, after today, if you do introduce this budget, the budget gets sent down to Trenton. A Trenton reviewer will go through the budget. If they have any questions, they'll get the questions back to us. We will answer them, and hopefully they give us the approval to adopt on the 12th. But either way, the public hearing will be on the 12th. So the goals of the Freeholder Board to remain financially and operationally efficient, that really has, when I walked in here 15 years ago, that was a difficult goal to meet, as we had a lot of struggles financially. We are to the point where, as I said earlier, it's getting easier to put this budget together, and as you'll see as we go through this, that we are financially and operationally efficient. And in fact, I would go out on a limb to say that the finances of Passaic County have never been better. I think in the history of this county, I don't think that the financial situation is any better. And I would put Passaic County's financial position up against any county in the state of New Jersey at this point in time. Although we're not a AAA rated county by Moody's, that is mostly due to demographics and not our financial position. So I think if you were to look at financial statements, removing names of counties off of those financial statements, I think you would see that Passaic County's financial position is as good as any. again, the goals that you have set and the goals that we try to achieve for you, along with the financial and operational efficiency, is public safety, providing services for our human resources, our human services, our senior veteran services, maintaining critical infrastructure, maintaining county parks and recreational areas. As we've just seen that we've been aggressive with our parks over the last 5 or 6 years. Continue to protect our county bond rating. And also to make sure that our fund balance, and you'll see later on in the slideshow, that our fund balance remain at a level that it should be, so that we continue to have stability moving forward. And again, all of that helps us plan for the future and do the things that you all want to do as elected officials in terms of parks and infrastructure and providing necessary services for our taxpayers. So again, repeating somewhat what the sound fiscal management does for the board. It allows us to do these infrastructure projects, allows us to invest in our parks and our recreation, growth in our economic development, provide services to our seniors, adequately provide public safety to our residents, and most importantly, and as you'll see this year, for the second time in the last 3 years, that the county tax levy will not be going up, which is pretty remarkable. But everything that we've done and everything that you have done as a board has allowed us to have that type of stability, so that hopefully we don't see the spikes when we hit some bumps in the road. Back when the economy was going south back in 2007, 2008, really even before any of us knew that we were heading into what some call a depression, but certainly the most serious recession that we've seen in our lifetime, that we were in a position now to weather those storms where we weren't when we went into that. So when we talk about surplus, you'll see here that since 2012 at $27 million to finishing 2018 at $66 million worth of surplus. It's a 142% increase since 2012. I think it was Freeholder Bartlett that asked the question, and I think it's a good question, when is enough enough? When do you have enough surplus? Well, the rating agencies will look at the budget and they'll tell you that you should have anywhere between 10 and 15% of your total budget in surplus. In our case, last year, our budget was about $480 million, give or take, which means on the high end, if we were to set aside 15% of that, we should be at about $72 million. So as you can see, we've made tremendous progress to get there, but we're not quite there yet. And hopefully, if we have another good year this year, we may reach that goal. This year was an exceptional year. As you can see by those numbers, it doesn't always jump up $16 million, but we are certainly on the right track. And if there's questions along the way, please feel free to throw something at me and I'll stop talking. So one of the other things that I'm particularly proud of, and another area where I think helps us moving forward and helps us prepare for any downturns in the economy, are reserves. So we are self-insured, as you all know, for workers' compensation, for health benefits, and for our liability insurance. We don't carry any excess coverage. You'll see back in 2013, we had total reserves of $263,000. Today, we're sitting on almost $45 million worth of reserves. And again, I think, Freeholder, the same question could be asked of these reserve funds. When is enough enough? So I took that question seriously, and I had some of our professionals do some analysis for us. Workers' compensation, if it were a state-operated fund, there are analysis and there are things that they would look for based on historic trends in workers' compensation. So our third-party administrator, Bergen Risk, based on our past history, has determined that we should have $9 million worth of a reserve for workers' compensation with an additional $1 million for catastrophic loss. so a total of $10 million. So, again, while you'll sit here and you'll say, wow, those numbers are incredible, when is enough enough? I think that while we're getting there, we're not quite there. But we're going to continue to try to get there so that we have the necessary funds in place and continue to do the right thing, because at the end of the day, it allows me to sit here and allows you to sit there to not only raise the county tax levy again, but to know that the financial house is in order. With health benefits, $22 million, it's a lot of money. But again, looking at it from a perspective of if we were fully insured, what would an insurance company carry as a reserve? Typically, they'll want to see about 4 months worth of claims as a reserve. Our claim number is based on 2018 claim numbers. We have $82 million worth of claims. That's for health benefits, prescription, and dental, which means that our reserve number should be about $27 million. And as you can see, we're close, but we're not quite there. And then finally on liability, which again is a little bit trickier, right? So counties don't get sued, don't sue, we get sued. You never know. The cases that sometimes we get, and we're required to either make a payment. But nonetheless, you'll recall that in years past, we used to bond this money. We used to bond $25 million. It would last us about 5 years. We now no longer are doing that. We're building up these reserves, as well as we have line items in our current budget for both workers' compensation and liability. But again, our TPA, Bergen Risk, looked at our liability from historical data, and they recommend $11 million in reserves for claims and a $5 million reserve for a catastrophic loss. So a $16 million total. Again, we're getting close, but we're not quite there. So again, Drew, I think it was a good question of when is enough enough. I think those numbers kind of answer that in terms of where we should be, at least at a minimum. It doesn't mean that we would necessarily stop there, because being self-insured, you don't know. I mean, from a health benefit standpoint, we made a lot of changes to our health benefit plans, which have clearly helped in our claims. Our claims are down a little over $6 million this year, almost 9.5%. But, part of that is some of the structural changes we made to the programs, but some of it is, thankfully, we had healthier employees. And then snow removal. We continue to put money in there, so anytime, any year where there's money left in Kenny's budget for the road department, we'll put into the trust fund. And you can see we went from having nothing back in 2013 to $877,000 this year. Accumulated absences is something that is required. It's, in my humble opinion, it's a real number, but it's not a real number. So the rating agencies will look at accumulated absences as though if everybody walked out the door tomorrow, what is our liability? How much would the county have to pay if everybody walked out the door on the same day and had, sick time payouts, which of course we are capped at $12,000 for non-uniform employees, $15,000 for uniform, and any unused vacation. So that number is an $18 million number. Clearly, we're not there yet, and I'm not so sure that you ever need to be there, because fortunately for us, a lot of the vacation time we budget from year to year. So especially the larger departments like the sheriff, the prosecutor, they know who are going to head out the door, and we'll budget in our operating budget, so there's no need to have that in a reserve. We do also have a line item for sick time payouts. I think it's $300,000 a year. And to the best of my knowledge, we've never used all $300,000 in 1 year. But again, something that credit agencies look at, and it's, to me, doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because no one's walking out the door tomorrow, and the only other scenario would be as a county government or any government closed, right, and that we had this obligation. But it is what it is, and we'll continue to put money in accumulated absences as we see fit. We're also self-insured for unemployment compensation. We're at about $1 million. We think that should probably be a $2 million number. Again, being self-insured, if God forbid, and I don't foresee it in the near future, but if there were layoffs, that would be an area where we want to see that number closer to $2 million. And then, of course, we have our old county pension system, which we now fully fund in our budget every year. And every year there's always a little bit of money left because not everybody that was collecting a pension on January 1st was collecting a pension on December 31st. For reasons that I think are obvious. It's an old system, and there are, the average age of that system is pretty old. So again, we continue to put money in a reserve to cover those pension liabilities. As I said before, our highest credit ratings in the county history, Standard & Poor's has us as a AA, and Moody's has a AA2. There's a little room to go up before you get to AAA, so you could be with Standard & Poor's a AA+, and our goal is to try to make that case for another upgrade. And I think if we continue to have the good budget years that we're having, we could make a pretty good case for it. But nonetheless, both of those ratings are high-quality investment grade ratings. And we continue to see that when we go to market for our debt, that we not only are getting good rates, but very competitive, where we would have maybe, one or two institutions bidding on our bonds, where we're now seeing 4 and 5. Just some of the background of what Moody's and Standard & Poor's say about the county. Moody's on October 5th, 2018, Passaic County is a very good credit position. Its AA2 rating matches the median rating of AA2 for counties nationwide. Notable credit factors include an extensive tax base, a healthy wealth and income profile, and healthy financial position. The credit position also reflects a small debt burden and mid-range pension liability. Standard & Poor's on November the 9th, 2018 said the county has proactively increased reserves to manage volatile expense line items. Again, that was pre those numbers that I showed you, so that would only be better. Expense line items including significant reserves for workers' comp, health benefits, and liability insurance. Overall net debt is low at 1% of market value, which is in our view a positive credit factor. The stable outlook is supported by our view of the county's strong management, whose adherence to practices and policies has resulted in strong budgetary performance, allowing for the growth in reserves. And I really couldn't say it any better than that. I think the Standard & Poor's really sums up what this board has tried to do over the last 9 years.
The line in there that talks about the debt, which is, how do they put it there, it's reasonable. Small debt burden, actually, they refer to it. If we didn't have the stranded debt from the old PCUA, would that impact our credit rating significantly?
Well, certainly it wouldn't negatively affect it. It would certainly positively affect it. More importantly, it would also it would have a greater impact on being able to put together budgets from year to year. And again, for those in the audience or those on the board who don't know, although I know you all do because we live it every year, the county every year has to appropriate $4 million for stranded debt from the Passaic County Utilities Authority that they bonded for, and we have nothing to show for it, not a single asset.
Not even a chair?
Not even a chair, not even a pencil. But I believe it's a little bit over $4 million in debt that we will pay, our kids will pay, and their kids will pay until 2038. And we've been paying that since 1998, 1997, somewhere in the late 90s. And again, freely, it's funny because as the budget and the fiscal house of Passaic County has gotten stronger, you tend not to look at it quite as critically. But really, we shouldn't, because it really is a critical factor, and it really, it's $4 million that could either be given back to the taxpayers every year, or $4 million that could be spent on more infrastructure, more bridges being, redone, more roads being paved, all of the things that, government should be doing. Instead, it's writing a just imagine any one of us, could anyone imagine writing a $4 million check every year for nothing? Zero, nothing. As Freeholder Best said, it's a great line, but it's the truth. It's not even a chair, nothing.
Well, I bring it up usually at every budget here, every time we talk.
$4,126,000 in this year's budget.
That was 75-some million still to go. I bring it up just as a reminder to remind myself also when when I'm involved in decision making of how we're going to spend money, how we bond, the steps we're going to take moving forward, that the decisions we make as a board not only have the impact that particular year, but have an impact for many, many years down the road. We're paying for sins of the past here. And it's important that we remind ourselves every year that a poor decision or even a bad decision can affect the taxpayers for many, many years, long after this board is probably gone.
It reminds me as a kid growing up, and you hear your grandparents talk about the Great Depression, and don't throw that out, because I remember when, we couldn't afford anything, so, every scrap, I remember, my grandmother used to save coffee in a glass milk jar, because I put it in the refrigerator, and then when you stopped over, she'd just warm that up. She'd never dump coffee down a drain. And part of it was because they came from nothing. And I think part of what we have to remember is, though, even though things are good now, right, things can change also. And you're right. It should be a constant reminder for this board and any future board that, those decisions have real impacts. And that is a real impact. And I think anybody, again, couldn't imagine, or under any circumstances, writing any check for any amount for nothing, just for nothing. And that's really what the taxpayers are being asked to do.
Yep. Thank you.
So again, just some of the things that, the county budget supports. It's roads, it's upgrades to our parks, it's fully funding our pension system, it's some of the historic stuff that we're doing. We should be completing the courthouse annex in June, Matthew. July is June is the new date for completion. We'll be moving the state probation from 100 Hamilton, which we rent right now, into that facility. So we'll be able to rid ourselves of yet another rent. We are in the process, we just advertised for bids on Monday for the new Nike base maintenance garage, which will house all of our maintenance vehicles, all of our roads department under one roof, which will allow us to put two old county buildings on the market, one being the Pumpkin Lakes garage, and the other, ironically, and maybe the same bad decision Freeholder before that you talked about earlier, the old administration building, which this building that we're sitting in today was built because that had outlived its useful life, and here we are, because when they built this building, they didn't build it to our needs, so we were forced to keep that old building. Here we are some 20-some years later, and we'll hopefully be able to get rid of that building sometime next year when we move into the new facility. But the new Nike-based facility will not only allow us for better efficiencies, have everyone under one roof, which will help Ken manage a large department. So we're very excited about that. You look like you had that question. And again, the social safety net for our most vulnerable, so our seniors, veterans, Preakness Healthcare Center, which I know we're all very proud of. And of course, continue to invest in our education. So whether it's PCTI or our community college, I think both great institutions that we're all very proud of. So, how do you get there? How does this all happen? One of the things, of course, was, back in 2017, we had layoffs. One of the most distasteful things that I ever had to do as the administrator, and for the freeholders who were here, never fun. So, one of the things that, again, makes me happy by being in this good financial position is hopefully we never have to deal with that situation again. So, as you can see by this slide, employment here in the county has held steady, somewhere a little less than 1,900 full-time employees, really going back since 2011. So some of the steps to get to where we are today, we worked in partnership with the unions. I talked a little bit earlier about changes in our health benefits. It's things we negotiated with the unions. Takes a little bit longer sometimes to get to where we want to get, but just about every union, I think we have one union that we just haven't settled with yet, has bought into the changes to the health benefits. And again, I thank the individual unions and their members for the cooperation that we've had at the table, and I think and I think they realize the benefits now, because this year, for the first time, although the traditional plan, which is our most expensive plan, saw an increase in premiums, for the first time, the 4 other plans that we have did not. Those premiums stayed level. So I think the employees are starting to recognize that the changes that we've been able to make and the other products that we've been able to offer are actually good alternatives. And I have some other statistics which I could talk about in a little bit, but that's been certainly one of the ways that we've been able to get to where we are today. We have a policy of not bonding more than $10 million a year in debt service, as well as not anticipating or appropriating more surplus than we think that we're going to regenerate in the following year. So, surplus is sometimes those one-time gimmicks that you could fall into that trap of, hey, you have more surplus, let's use it. But if you do it and you don't regenerate it the next year, you're just starting off the following year in a hole. So that's where you start getting those spikes in tax increases, and, we've moved well past that. And again, as the rating agency has said, some of our conservative fiscal practices in terms of revenues, anticipating revenues. This year we saw $12 million more in anticipated revenues than we actually budgeted for last year, which was one of the reasons why we saw such a good fund balance increase. But we're not anticipating in this year's budget very much more. We took a very conservative approach, so that, again, if things begin to slow down a little bit, the housing market, all of the unknowns, so that we'll still be in a good position next year. And many of you have heard me say it over and over and again. I'm sure you get tired of hearing me say it, but, budgets are never a one-year document. Everything that you do this year will affect next year and the year after and the year after that. So that's why it's very important to take some of these conservative approaches. We've done a lot of shared services. Actually, this April is the 10th anniversary of the closure of our detention center, and that has not only been a great savings in the budget, but it has worked out perfectly with Essex County. We've had no issues. We've seen, some of our lowest census numbers in years. We've been under 20 children in the detention center due to a lot of alternative programs that are available. So that has been going well. Timely in a weather situation like this, but we partnered with the Borough of Hawthorne to purchase brine from them. They also will brine county roads and then bill us for the mileage of the brine that they're doing in Hawthorne, which again saves us manpower, and they're out anyway, so it makes a whole lot of sense. We have shared service agreements with the Borough of Woodland Park, the City of Passaic, and the Wanacue Board of Education for technology services. Our medical examiners is a state shared service with Hudson County, Somerset County, and Essex County. Last year, was it last year or was it 2 years ago? 2 years ago already. We have a shared service with Bergen County to do our consumer affairs. Although not official yet, but I believe it'll be on an agenda shortly. It will be a shared service with the City of Clifton for public housing services. And we are also, not on this slide, but we are also taking over operation of the Hamilton House in Clifton as well. We have property purchasing available to all 16 municipalities. Most of them take advantage of it in some way, shape, or form. Again, salt comes to mind. We're allowed to bid for salt, and towns will purchase off of that cooperative pricing, and typically it's better pricing. And then, of course, we have our gas and electric, not only with Passaic County municipalities, but we're the lead agency with Hudson County and Sussex County. And then we also have shared services for some vehicle fuel with Pumpkin Lakes, Prospect Park, and the Pumpkin Lakes MUA and BOE, the Board of Education. So they purchase gasoline from us. We also have a shared service with West Milford, where we'll purchase gasoline from West Milford, so that, again, in a storm like this, where Kenny is up in West Milford, it's not taking time off the roads to drive down to Pumpkin Lakes to fill up in one of our facilities.
Your question about the third and last bullet, the cooperative purchasing program that's available to all 16 municipalities. Is that also available to all 18 of our boards of education? And
I don't believe it is. Is Michael here?
Yes.
Oh, that Michael. Can't say Michael on this one.
It's available. They could legally do it, and I don't know offhand, but some are. I know, like Passaic Valley was in it, and some other boards are in. Already for certain.
Also, you mentioned, Anthony, the county also provides health services to a number of municipalities.
We have, and again, I didn't put it all on here for a little bit. Yes, we are now providing health services to Woodland Park. We are in talks right now. Oh, Wanacue, correct, right. Wanacue we started in January. That is going well, and I don't want to say it publicly, but we are in talks with one of our other municipalities as well to talk about health services. So that's one of the areas where I think we're going to see a big uptick moving forward.
Yeah, I find it somewhat gratifying that it wasn't that long ago when you had some municipalities who talked about, we don't need county government, what do we need county government for? And now it seems that they realize the value of regional government, which is what we are, the fact that, we can provide the services at a much more efficient level, both money and practice. So I'm happy to see that people are jumping on board now.
Okay, so we'll get into some of the numbers of the budget. You'll see on the revenue side, I do want to point out, you'll notice on Section C, the assumption of state costs, you'll see a reduction in revenues of almost 73%, or $3.5 million. So in years past, we received $3.5 million from the state for costs. I believe it has to do with patients and institutions. And they would require us to appropriate it in our budget and offset it with the revenue. So it was really just we put it on one side of the ledger and the other side of the ledger. The state now has said to us, you no longer need to put it in the budget, include it in the budget message, which you'll see that it is in the budget message. So again, it's not that you're seeing a reduction of revenue, it's really just the state allowing us not to put the number in the budget on both sides of the ledger. But again, overall, very conservative again on revenues. We're not increasing them a lot. Some of the areas where we have done well, we have bumped them up slightly. But other than that, and honestly, of the bulk of the increase on the revenue side in your budget, you'll notice, I think, the biggest increase is $1 million increase and that has to do with the reimbursements on the debt service for the STEM Academy at PCTI. So you recall when we bonded that money, that not quite 50%, I forget what the number actually was, 49%, would come back from the state. So now we're starting to see that monies flow back, and we'll see an increase again next year as well. But other than that, for the most part, revenues are really pretty steady, and we're holding flat. An area where, again, when you talk about gimmicks, we can anticipate as much as we collected in the prior year, but you have no way of knowing. And if you do that, and you don't achieve that goal, not only aren't you going to regenerate surplus, but you're going to start over the next budget year in a hole, because now you're going to have to go back to whatever you collected that following year. On the appropriation side of the ledger, again, I'll start by pointing out just, again, a couple of what I'll just call bookkeeping changes. So under health and welfare, where you see the $2.8 million, that's the other side of what I just spoke about, where they're no longer requiring us to put it in the budget, but it's just in the budget message. So that's why you see that reduction of almost $3 million. The reduction in correctional and penal, as well as the increase in regulation. The sheriff, as you know, comprises of our jail, our sheriff's patrol, and our courthouse security. In past budgets, the sheriff's patrol was under the corrections budget. So we wanted, for ease of budgeting and for a better accounting, we wanted to put that under the sheriff's budget, so that the sheriff's budget is under regulation. So you'll see a big decrease in corrections and a larger increase under regulation. But again, it's really just moving numbers from one portion of the budget to the other. Overall, the sheriff's entire budget, including those three things, the jail, patrol, and courthouse security, is up less than 2%, 1.98%.
Anthony, I just want to mention, we're on the subject of the Sheriff's Department. We've been here, well, Terry and I have been here for a long time. And I've never seen the Sheriff's Department run as efficiently with the taxpayers in mind as it has been, especially the last number of years. I think that all our department heads should get the credit, because we would not be where we are today financially if it wasn't for the fact that all the department heads view their end of the budget. They almost take it personal, that they're responsible for it, and they're doing a tremendous job. But the sheriff has done quite a bit, and the prosecutor.
Honestly, and I started off by thanking all of my department heads, because, again, they know what we were expecting of them, and they really are finding creative ways to do more with less. And I know that's so cliche, and sometimes I hate to hear myself say it, but it really is true. If I didn't mention the constitutional officers, I should, because they have been great partners in government, and I think we all, are very proud of that. The sheriff in particular, he spends it as though it's his own. Any time that he comes,
He is cheap.
Yeah.
Never been out with him?
I didn't say that on the record. But he really has been a great partner in county government, and I can't say enough about our prosecutor as well. The jury's still out on the new county clerk, but I'm sure she'll toe the line. But honestly, I couldn't have better partners in county government than the sheriff, Burdick, and Prosecutor Valdez. Really great. Anytime that they come, they always want to get our buy-in. They want to make sure that it's not going to have a negative effect. And then typically they'll find ways to cut somewhere else. So if they need to, we went through it with jail reform and speedy trial, where we needed to, open up on Saturdays, and the sheriff came up with creative ideas of not to increase the budget, but we needed to change some positions, right? And he would typically come and say, okay, I'm going to eliminate these two titles, and we need to, bring in security guards. So, again, couldn't be a better partnership, and Sheriff Burnick and the prosecutor have done a fantastic job. So I think if you pull out those two things that I just said, which, again, I repeat myself, are really just moving numbers from one area of the budget to another, the big driving force in how we were able to keep the county tax levy stable was the reduction in insurance costs. First time in my 15-year tenure that we are budgeting less for health insurance than we did the prior year. And as you can see, not by a little bit, by a pretty significant amount. $5.7 million. As I said earlier, we saw claims, a reduction this year of over $6 million. A 9.5% reduction in claims from one year to the next. And again, that's the major medical, the prescription, and the dental. We're also seeing employees shifting out of the most expensive plan, the traditional plan, into some of the lower cost alternatives. So we now have 11% of our population are in a plan other than the traditional. As you know, the freeholders and I, we have negotiated with all the unions that new employees can no longer go into that traditional plan. So part of that is we're seeing the benefits of that. But more importantly, every year as we do open enrollment, we're seeing more and more employees not only come to the seminars that we give to discuss the differences in the plans, we're seeing more and more people migrate to the lesser cost alternatives. Good quality plans, just costing less money for both the employee and the county. And as I said, for the first time, only the traditional plan went up, and the other plans, the premium stayed the same. So employees didn't see any increase. And I think as we see that trend moving forward, you're going to see more and more employees look at some of the other plans that we have.
Tony, what's the increase attributed to in the capital improvement line?
I'm glad you asked that question, Freeholder. So one of the other things that we're able to do this year in this year's budget, and I'm very excited, and I know it makes Rich very excited, is we've been able to put more cash in the budget for capital purchases. So in the past, I think we put $200,000 a year. So that fund is made up of $500,000, which is down payment for any bonding that we do. We have to put a down payment down. So the $500,000 represents a down payment of $10 million worth of financing. The $200,000 every year we go out and we purchase small things. This year we've been able to increase that number to $1.5 million, $1.3 million increase to go out and purchase things that, while under the law would be allowable expenses in a capital budget, but don't necessarily have that great a useful life. A lot of vehicles, a lot of computer stuff, as you know, you buy computers today and tomorrow they're obsolete. So rather than going out and borrowing that money and having to pay back interest on it, sometimes even after the asset is no longer in service, we were able to this year put cash in the budget and go out and purchase something. And again, God willing, and as we move forward, I'd like to see that number increase over the years as well. I mean, you're never going to run a county this size on a pay-as-you-go basis, but I think the more that you don't depend on having to borrow, and listen, rates are good now. You're borrowing money at very cheap rates, but who knows what 10 years down the road is going to be. So the more we can do that, the better off we'll be, and again, I think the better position the county will be. Did I give you that question? Any other questions on the appropriations? So again, just where do your tax dollars go? 70% of your property taxes paid goes to support municipalities and schools, and 24% goes to operating county budget. Again, that's on average. with the county portion of the budget, it can fluctuate from town to town. But overall, if I take the total amount of taxes collected, 24% of every dollar collected from taxpayers in Passaic County goes towards county government.
I don't know, it's on this side. I gotta move now. Right, the building?
Let's just say I'm glad I'm down here, not up there. That portion of the building is, there's nothing above you. That is.
Oh, there's no snow from the roof? There is now.
Could, well, it could be, I don't know.
We have this at Capitol.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right, this roof is now. Okay, and then finally, I think, something that, you all should be very proud of, and you should all really be beating your chests and climbing to the highest mountain, because I know sometimes people like to create their own facts, if you will, but these are the facts about the county budget over the last 9 years. As I said, the average increase over the last 3 years, where we haven't increased the county levy 2 out of the last 3 years, the average increase is 0.62%. Over the last 6 years, the levy has gone up 1.9%, and over the last 9 years, the county tax levy has only gone up 1.93%. So, again, is it raising taxes? Yes. But I think when you look at that, and you look at where we were to where we are today, I think, those are great numbers and something that everyone should be proud of. And I thank you all for giving me the ability to to do this budget and to present to you what over the years have been some tougher budgets than others. Again, not easy when you have to, when layoffs are your only choices. As I said, we're at this table. Not easy to make the recommendation to close a detention center. Easy to look back over 10 years and to say it's worked out perfectly, and many of the people who spoke at those public meetings, while we listened to the concerns, really none of those concerns have come to fruition, thankfully. Quite the opposite is right, Fielder. You were here and part of those meetings.
Better service and actually.
We see a larger number of our children that are graduating and getting GEDs while in detention than we ever had before. So, it took a lot of tough decisions by this board and previous boards to get to where we are today. And, it's funny because people will say, well, you've been there 15 years and you're just getting to where you need to get to now. And sometimes I scratch my head too, but, government is kind of like the Titanic. It just doesn't turn on a dime, right? If the Titanic could have turned on a dime, they wouldn't hit the iceberg. And government, what's that? But, government is very much, the same way, that it's taken a long time to really get to where we are today. But we are, as I said earlier, in a very good place.
One of the duties of county government, or challenges of county government, is that we are sandwiched in between the federal and state government above us, and then localities beneath us, and we have to work with both, and there's a lot of funds that go both ways, or that go from federal government down to us that we administer locally. Can you just talk about, in terms of the challenges of the budget and all that, how challenging it is when we have so much uncertainty currently at the federal level? We previously had a lot of uncertainty at the state level, but currently at the federal level, where we're on the threat of a potential shutdown again for the second time in a few months. How that impacts, realizing how you look at it long term, the uncertainty of funding continuing and programs continuing and things like that.
Well, I think the short answer is it affects real people in their lives, right? Forget about what it may do to the finances of the county, but government serves people, right? I mean, that is our mission, right? We serve people who need it, and there's always going to be people that need government's help. Right? There's never going to be a time in our lives where someone doesn't need some sort of assistance. many times that assistance comes from county government. So whether it's our Board of Social Services, whether it's our senior services, whether it's, we're delivering meals to people who ordinarily wouldn't. It's hard to specifically answer that question, but when you think about, the federal funds that flow down through the state to county governments, to municipal governments, it's tremendous.
Yeah, well,
many of those programs, our weatherization program, and we talked about food stamps and that, if government shutdown would have been any longer, that, there would have been people who were going without, meals.
I think what you're saying is absolutely correct, but I think this budget is people. I mean, that's at the end of the day, that's what it is, the budget and the ability to serve, for us to be able to serve the people and to serve their needs and to continue to provide services. And when we don't have certainty from year to year to know for certain that we can continue, because even though for Meals on Wheels, for example, the funds may come from the federal government, but we have to administer the funds locally. Those are our staff, those are our people, those are our trucks, those are our...
And it should go on notice, really, is that those grants have declined tremendously over the years.
Right.
And this board has made the conscious effort to continue to match so that we're not telling people, hey, the grant funds have declined, we no longer can serve you a meal every day. We're not knocking on people's doors saying we're not going to do it. This board has consciously said that that's important to you and important to us and clearly important to those people. And sometimes it's not just meals, that's the only person that somebody will talk to in the course of a day.
And they've saved lives.
So,
Meals on Wheels driver, intervened and saved a life.
So you see it almost every day. I mean, I get the shutdown is the news that we get consumed with, but those funds have been shrinking anyway, and it puts pressure on government. And believe me, when we weren't in this financial position, there are many times where I had to go to department heads and say, listen, you need to come up with a plan. And if I say to you, you have to cut your budget another 5%, I need to know what that means. And, when I did that to Mary Kaczynski, who, was running our senior services at the time, it would be, listen, we overmatch Meals on Wheels. We can cut back on paratransit rides for people to go to the doctors, right? We could cut back on adult daycare.
And that's my point, is that when you can't feel that it's from year to year, or to know down when each program is definitely continue, or that the funding is definitely going to continue at that level, we can't plan, we can't budget. And if there were severe cutbacks that come from the federal level, we would then have the choice of either drastically cutting services or making up the funding ourselves, which is exactly why it's so important that you've had such a large reserve, or large reserve, in case of those kind of dire consequences. It's not just the economic market, it's the government instability.
It allows you to make the decision that you want to make. And I think that's the best way to talk about when you have reserves. When they're not there, those decisions are made for you, right? When your back's up against the wall, right, you can't, there's only one decision to be made, right? When our backs were against the wall, we had no choice but to lay off people. There were no other options. We exhausted all the other options. There were no other options. Right now you have options, and those decisions are going to be made based on what you think is best for the people that you represent, as opposed to not having any options. And that's really, I mean, I can't overstate it enough or state it enough that, it's a great position to be in. And again, you all should be very proud of where you have put this county in terms of its financial house, because, and I'll say it until I take my last breath, you put our finances up against any counties, and I guarantee you we would match them without a doubt. I have no doubt in my mind that we would equal them, if not surpass them.
I want to say one thing too. Our infrastructure, because of our plans over the years of redoing bridges, we're far ahead of many counties on keeping infrastructure where it needs to be to keep it safe. Far ahead.
All of our bridges are either being repaired now, right? The 8th Street Bridge in Passaic, this year we're going to have the 2 bridges that connects Lincoln Park and Wayne, the Fairlawn Avenue Bridge, which connects Fairlawn to Patterson. Hopefully we'll be out to bid this year on both of those bridges. So everything is either under design, has been repaired, I mean, we're doing a lot of culvert work, which, for lack of a better description, is just a small bridge, not a full-blown bridge, just small bridges, but we're able to go and we're able to, repair a lot of the culverts that the county owns. We've been extremely aggressive. And I say it all the time, we came out of that recession in far better shape than we went in. I mean, it's really, it's almost remarkable, the position that we're in today as opposed to then.
And that infrastructure work is also part of our economic development agenda. You talked about Two Bridges Road. That's going to make it possible for manufacturers along West Belt and Winning, including Driscoll Foods, which we managed to keep in county with some of our infrastructure work, to ship their goods westward more easily. And that infrastructure work and the way it connects to keeping businesses here, growing businesses here, which creates jobs for people. I saw Freeler Arthur was fond of pointing out last year that we had the fastest growing tourism economy in New Jersey in 2016 and 17. Well, you look at the economic analysis, that's 600 new jobs in restaurants and hotels and the other places where people who come here to visit the Dimension or to visit the Patterson Falls actually spend their money. And Anthony, I want to commend you and your whole team and all of our department heads on this. There were a whole lot of numbers today, and I don't want us to bury the lead, which is that Passaic County has zero tax increase this year, and has had a zero tax increase 2 of the last 3 years. And I can only speak for myself because I keep track of this. Of the 7 budgets I'll have been part of, 6 of them came in under the 2% cap. And that is the product of the long, hard work that I know that Freeler Duffy and Freeler Lepore, James and Bess did in tougher times, but also it's because we've got an entire team here who really understand that our fiduciary role, our role is one of public trust over the funds that we receive and have the opportunity to expend. And I can't say, I can't come up with language positive enough to describe what I've seen out of your work and your team's work on budgets over these past years under Freeler Lepore's leadership on the Budget Committee and really with all of us.
Thank you, really. I mean, I could sit here all night and talk about this kind of stuff. This is what actually excites me. But Freeler, I just want to point out that one budget that you mentioned that was a struggle. It was specifically driven by a bad health benefit year. And had we had the reserves that we have today, we wouldn't have had to have seen that increase in that budget year. And so, again, just kind of tying it all together, the importance of having monies so that we can control the increases. I can't sit here and tell you that for the rest of my tenure or anyone else's tenure, we're never going to see another, county budget go up. I can't, I don't have a crystal ball. But I can tell you that we're going to be in a position where we can control that and not see spikes, in the tax levy. And again, speaking as a taxpayer myself, right? To me, I don't mind taking little bites out of the apple. It's, when the whole apple gets shoved down my throat at one time, that gets harder to take. And I think that, again, this board has allowed me to come to you having to make some tough decisions, but it has paid off. And as I like to say in my house, the proof is in the pudding, and what you see here tonight is that proof.
Anthony, I just want to say one thing too. I mean, you guys did a great job on this budget you do every year, and I know how hard everybody works, and I thank you for that. One of the things that sticks out for me, though, is the shared services. And I guess you guys all know it's really important to build the relationships that we have with each of the municipalities in the same county. And when we have the shared services and we have that open dialogue and that communication, I think it helps every single person that lives in this county. They know that we are invested in each of their municipalities. And you know what I think?
And she's going to make me talk longer here, and I do apologize, but part of the problem, when I walked in here in 2003, so, and I know council will recall this one, the municipalities were skeptical at best of county government. Having come off of that PCUA debacle, having had elected officials go to prison, municipalities had no faith that county government could serve a role. And it took a long time to get to where we are today, so that a borough of Wanacue would come to the county of Passaic and say, hey, we'd like to sit down and talk about shared services for our health department. That a city of Clifton would come to the county and say, hey, we'd like to talk about, partnering on housing and, you running the Hamilton House. That would have never crossed anybody's mind, and I'm not exaggerating, 15 years ago. It would have never. And so, again, I think all of this proves to everyone else that, we do take our fiduciary responsibility serious, and that we're doing the right thing, and that they, again, that we can trust each other, because I think government works best for the people when we're all working together.
The weird thing, people in Clifton who are associated with the Hamilton House, and there's quite a few of them, they're thrilled with having this now. Thrilled. They always been that child, they always had problems, so they just couldn't be happier. And I can't say that would happen 10 years ago. So
I know it would.
Come a long way.
I know it would. But, it's about building relationships, and it's about rebuilding trust in this case. And I agree.
So I will shut up, and that concludes my portion of the conference.
Thank you very much. So let's move on to a review of our agenda. I-1, I-2, R1, and S1 through S78. Are there any questions from the freeholders on those items? Council, are there any late starters? Is there any need, council, to go into executive session?
No.
Then can I have a motion to adjourn the conference? James and Freeholder.
Freeholders, Actor?
Yes.
Yes. Duffy? Yes. James? Yes. Lepore? Yes. Deputy Director Lazare?
Yes.
Director Bartlett?
Yes. All right, welcome to the February 12, 2019 meeting of the Passaic County Board of Trustees and Freeholders. Lou, would you give us the announcement of the open public meetings law?
Ladies and gentlemen, the notice requirement of the Open Public Meetings Law has been satisfied with respect to the meeting, specifying the time, date, and location, including the annual notice, adopted the reorganization meeting, filed with the county clerk, posted in the administration building, and mailed to 2 newspapers in accordance with the provisions of the law.
Roll call, please.
Freeholders, Actor? Best?
Here.
Duffy? Here. James? Here. Lepore?
Here.
Deputy Director Lazare?
Here.
Director Bartlett?
Here. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and our invocation.
O God, who provides for thy people by thy power and rules over them in loving, be gracious enough to bless thy servants, our freeholders, in this county of Passaic, that thy people may dwell in peace and safety through our Lord. Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join us in a moment of silence to remember all the men and women who have died while serving in the United States Armed Forces. Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of January 22nd?
Move it.
For and after. Roll call.
Freeholders, Actor? Yes. Best? Yes. Duffy? Yes. James? Yes. Lepore? Yes. Deputy Director Lazare?
Yes.
Director Bartlett?
Yes. Can I have a motion to approve proclamations?
Second.
Whichever way you want.
I think I was first.
Freeholders, Actor?
Yes.
Best?
Yes.
Duffy?
Yes.
James? Yes. Lepore? Yes. Deputy Director Lazare?
Yes.
Director Bartlett?
Yes. Can I have a motion to suspend the regular order of business?
Make that motion.
Second for budget matters?
Yes.
Budget matters, yes.
Freeholders, Actor? Best?
Yes.
Duffy?
Yes.
James? Lepore?
Yes.
Deputy Director Lazare? Director Bartlett?
Yes. So we were provided the 2019 cap resolution. Can I have a motion to adopt on first reading that resolution to exceed index rate under NJSA 48:45-15?
Freeholders, Actor.
Yes.
Best.
Yes.
Duffy.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Lepore.
Yes.
Deputy Director Lazare.
Yes.
Director Bartlett.
Yes. Can I have a motion for a resolution introducing the Passaic County budget for fiscal year 2019 and adopting same on first reading in accordance with the requirements of the local budget law?
Freeholders, Actor. Best.
Yes.
Duffy.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Lepore.
Yes.
Deputy Director Lazare.
Yes.
Director Bartlett.
Yes. That brings us to item J on our agenda, the guarantee ordinance. Lou, do you need to read the title of that?
Yes. Guarantee ordinance 2019-01, an ordinance authorizing the guarantee by the County of Passaic, State of New Jersey, of lease purchase obligations of the Passaic County Improvement Authority in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $15 million to be issued pursuant to the 2019-2020 Passaic County Bank Program.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to open the public hearing on guarantee ordinance 2019-01?
Freeholders, Actor.
Yes.
Best.
Yes.
Duffy.
Yes.
James. Lepore. Deputy Director Lazare. Director Bartlett.
Yes. Does anyone present desire to be heard on guarantee ordinance 2019-01?
Seeing no one at the podium, I move to close the public portion.
Second.
Freeholders, Actor.
Yes.
Best.
Yes.
Duffy.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Lepore.
Yes.
Deputy Director Lazare.
Yes.
Director Bartlett.
Yes. Can I have a motion to adopt guarantee ordinance 2019-01? So moved.
Second.
James Lepore, right? Freeholders, Actor.
Yes.
Best.
Yes.
Duffy.
Yes.
James. Lepore.
Yes.
Deputy Director Lazare.
Yes.
Director Bartlett.
Yes. Lou, please read bond ordinance 2019-02.
Bond ordinance providing for various 2019 capital improvements by and in the County of Passaic, State of New Jersey, appropriating $10 million, therefore, and authorizing $9,523,804 bonds or notes of the county to finance part of the cost thereof.
Can I have a motion to open the public hearing on this bond ordinance?
Lazare and Actor. Freeholders, Actor. Best.
Yes.
Duffy.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Lepore. Deputy Director Lazare.
Yes.
Director Bartlett.
Yes. Does anyone present desire to be heard on bond ordinance 2019-02?
Seeing no one at the podium, I move to close the public portion.
Second.
Freeholders, Actor.
Yes.
Best.
Yes.
Duffy.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Lepore.
Yes.
Deputy Director Lazare.
Yes.
Director Bartlett.
Yes. Can I have a motion to adopt bond ordinance 2019-02?
Second.
Freeholders, Actor.
Yes.
Best.
Yes.
Duffy.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Lepore.
Yes.
Deputy Director Lazare.
Yes.
Director Bartlett.
Yes. Bond ordinance 2019-03.
Bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements at the Passaic County Community College located within the County of Passaic, State of New Jersey, appropriating $1,888,035, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $1,888,035 bonds or notes of the capital of the County of Passaic, State of New Jersey, financing of such appropriation.
Can I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Freeholders, Actor.
Yes.
Best.
Yes.
Duffy.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Lepore. Deputy Director Lazare.
Yes.
Director Bartlett.
Yes. Does anyone present wish to be heard on bond ordinance 2019-03?
Seeing no one at the podium, I move to close the public portion.
Second.
Second. Freeholders, Actor. Best.
Yes.
Duffy.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Lepore.
Yes.
Deputy Director Lazare.
Yes.
Director Bartlett.
Yes. And can I have a motion to adopt bond ordinance 2019-03?
Second.
Lazare and Actor, right? Freeholders, Apter.
Yes.
Best.
Yes.
Duffy.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Lepore. Deputy Director Lazare. Director Bartlett.
Yes. Okay, bond ordinance 2019-04 and an extra long title, Lou.
Bond ordinance providing for the undertaking of the 2019 capital improvement and for certain facilities of Passaic County Community College located within the county of Passaic, state of New Jersey, appropriating $6,400,000. Therefore,
with massive bleeding, such as an active shooter victim and/or severe major crash injuries. First responders should develop their interdomain cooperation between EMS, fire, and law enforcement. To date, FEMA and Homeland Security have spent $180,000 on training and $150,000 to purchase of the kits. All funds are paid for by the Urban Area Security Initiative for New Jersey. There's no cost to Passaic County. An additional $300,000 has been approved to continue training new first responders for 2019. Our next phase is to train all remaining schools in Passaic County as well as the remaining firefighters and EMS community. So far, Passaic County Technical Institute, Wayne, and West Milford High School have been trained. And what the Director Lyons is hoping to do this year is to include as many of the Passaic County schools and train as many of the staff and teachers and such at these schools in this to prepare for something that we never have to institute. But training is always the best preparation. And I just want to applaud the Director Lyons on his work. And that's my report. Thank you, Director.
Thank you very much for the report. Anyone else? Okay. In that case, with no communications, can I have a motion to open the public portion of the meeting?
Freeholders, Apter.
Yes.
Best.
Yes.
Duffy.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Lepore.
Yes.
Deputy Director Lazare.
Yes.
Director Bartlett.
Yes. Thanks, Ann. Yes, so, sorry, I'm getting used to this director thing. You know the rules.
All right. Ann Schnackenberg, 268 Washington Ave, Clifton, New Jersey. And now for something somewhat different, but something that does affect Passaic County and our parks. I see you're working hard to not raise our taxes, working on a budget. I see you're hiring a forester. I'm here to talk about this awful Vegetation Management Response Act. It's the opposite of the so-called rain tax, and it will only end up increasing fees and taxes to repair the damage it will cause. The New Jersey Shade Tree Federation President Don Amasa, Jeff Tittle of the New Jersey Sierra Club, I believe the New Jersey League of Municipalities, many other leaders have spoken out against it. It's Senate Bill S-2505. Its Assembly counterpart passed back in December. This bill would, it's under discussion again right now. It allows not just electric public utilities like public service, but many more utilities, plus cable television companies. It would require no prior permission from any county or municipal shade tree commission to clear, move, cut, or destroy trees. And it would completely exempt them from any penalties or fines. Elimination of this kind of accountability is absurd and no way to do business. It's not what we need in New Jersey. It's not what we need in Passaic County. It's full of poor and misleading language and terminology, removal of any community authority, and takes the voting public out of the picture. It has a direct impact on most every tree in large areas of many communities in New Jersey. I'm not sure if it's going to be voted on very soon. They're under discussion again, but the Senate does have a voting session coming up on February 21st. Basically, it's a bad, bad bill. And I'm going to urge you to please make some sort of resolution against this, or whatever you can do to let the governor know that relinquishing authority and county authority over our trees and our tree canopy is unwanted. So hope you agree. Thank you.
Seeing no one at the podium, I move to close the public portion.
Freeholders, Apter.
Yes.
Best.
Yes.
Duffy.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Lepore.
Yes.
Deputy Director Lazare.
Yes.
Director Bartlett.
Yes. Thank you. Item R requires a two-thirds vote. The resolution authorizing transfer number 5. Can I have a motion and a second?
Second.
Freeholders, Apter.
Yes.
Best.
Yes.
Duffy.
Yes.
James. Lepore.
Yes.
Deputy Director Lazare.
Yes.
Director Bartlett.
Yes. That brings us to our consent agenda. It pointed out to me that items 25 and 31 are duplicates, so I'm going to pull 31.
So we have 77.
I think that's right.
But all the other numbers are remains.
Correct.
I believe so. Yes. So with thanks, we're appointing a lot of people in today's consent agenda to our various volunteer boards and commissions. Thank them all for their continued service. Can I have a motion and a second?
Second.
Freeholders, Apter.
Yes.
Best.
Yes.
Duffy.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Lepore.
After that, go to the same to resolution number
36. That's there.
Sure.
James.
Yes.
Lepore. Yes. Deputy Director Lazare.
Yes.
Director Bartlett.
Yes. New business.
Move the personnel.
That was last. Second. Feel
Freeholders, Apter.
Yes.
Best.
Yes.
Duffy.
Yes.
James. Lepore.
Yes.
Deputy Director Lazare.
Yes.
Director Bartlett.
Yes.
Move the bills list.
Second.
Freeholders, Apter.
Yes.
Best.
Yes.
Duffy.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Lepore.
Yes.
Deputy Director Lazare.
Yes.
Director Bartlett.
Yes. Can I have a motion for certification of the payroll?
Second.
Freeholders, Apter.
Yes.
Best.
Yes.
Duffy.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Lepore.
Yes.
Deputy Director Lazare.
Yes.
Director Bartlett.
Yes. Received departmental reports.
Received and filed.
Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Make that motion.
Second.
Apter and Freeholders.
Freeholders, Apter. Best.
Yes.
Duffy.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Lepore.
Yes.
Deputy Director Lazare.
Yes.
Director Bartlett.
Yes. Thank you all.
This is the story of a boy who didn't talk for a long time. The boy liked things to always be the same. Any changes would scare and upset him. The unknown was an unfriendly place. The boy was very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where they couldn't get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. He wasn't trying to be mean, it just made him feel uncomfortable. Sometimes he would flap his arms again and again.
One day I found out I had something called autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I found my voice and learned all the ways I could live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
Imagine a school where learning is dynamic, where students are given the opportunity to achieve their optimum potential. Imagine classrooms where teachers step down from their podiums and become facilitators, innovators, urging students to be the architects of their own education, where learning is stimulating, challenging, and fun. Imagine teachers and students reaching out to the worldwide community through the integration of technology in the everyday learning experience. The school of our imagination has become a reality. Welcome to Passaic County Technical Institute, home of the Bulldogs. Known as PCTI, we are a national award-winning high school located on a 55-acre campus in Wayne, New Jersey. Our dedicated teachers and staff deliver an exciting curriculum of courses in 14 specialized areas of study to more than 3,200 students. As New Jersey's largest career and technical high school, it is our mission to connect students with a world of knowledge, helping them to discover, define, and develop their futures. We challenge students to expand their educational horizons through career-enriching programs, advanced academics, character-building clubs and organizations, competitive athletic programs that have won county and state championships, an award-winning NJROTC program, and so much more. Our expansive facilities house more than 200 academic classrooms, complete with smartboards, wireless and internet access equal to those found in top universities. Throughout the school, more than 2,000 computers are equipped with the latest educational software. PCTI is also home to 2 state-of-the-art media centers, which foster educational growth and promote a relationship between students, their research, and the technologically enriched world. A rigorous academic curriculum prepares students to meet the challenges of post-secondary education. PCTI students have the opportunity to accumulate as many as 30 college credits while in high school, and our graduates have earned acceptance into some of the nation's finest universities, including the College of New Jersey, Rutgers University, Johnson & Wales, NYU, Seton Hall University, Stevens Institute of Technology, NJIT, and many others. At PCTI, we understand that everyone has different career goals. With the assistance of business, community, and industry partnerships, PCTI strives to give students the edge they need to succeed. Many students also receive generous academic scholarships which aid in furthering their education. Through our vast course offerings, students receive a full continuum of classes from special needs to the mainstream, to advanced placement and honors, putting them on the fast track to their futures. Students are prepared to become the leaders of tomorrow as they enter the global society with a world language curriculum that includes Japanese, Chinese, French, Spanish, Arabic, and American Sign Language. PCTI also serves as the North Jersey Regional Center for the Hearing Impaired. At PCTI, learning has no limit. Now you know a little bit about the PCTI community. What better way to learn more about the school than with the help of our students? Let's see what they have to say.
What type of person are you? Do you like working with numbers?
Banking, Wall Street, stocks, bonds.
Welcome to the Academy of Finance. Accounting, financial planning, and tax preparation are just some of the courses offered by this dynamic program.
Academy of Finance students learn about the world of banking and work at our full-service bank right here on campus.
Welcome to the Academy of Medical Arts, where you can get a jump start on building your knowledge in the field of health occupations.
Many of the area's doctors, dentists, nurses, and other medical professionals started their careers right here at PCTI.
That's right, and students gain valuable hands-on experiences working with the latest high-tech industry equipment.
Whether it's healing, teaching, or providing any other service to the community, PCTI can help you make your dreams come true.
As part of PCTI's School of Applied Technology, students can choose from one of 3 comprehensive programs: drafting, CAD, electronics, or manufacturing technology.
Numerous challenges and opportunities await you in the School of Applied Technology.
Explore the possibilities.
Is food your passion? How about creating a tasty dish from a variety of ingredients?
The School of Culinary Arts can open up a world of opportunities. Become a master chef, explore cultures through food, specialize in production, baking, service, and more.
You'll even get a chance to work in the famous Chez Technique, PCTI's award-winning student-staff restaurant right here on campus. It's a 5-star dining experience.
Are you a modern-day salesman? Do you think you have what it takes to be the next Bill Gates?
Here at PCTI School of Business, you'll learn the skills necessary to make it happen in the global marketplace.
Do you enjoy working with children? Does impacting the minds of tomorrow sound good to you?
In the School of Education and Human Services, students learn how to interact with children in a preschool environment. Step into the teacher's role. It just might suit you.
From solar houses to huge skyscrapers to entire communities of the future, you can be part of rebuilding America.
Here at PCTI, the School of Construction Technology opens the door to the master trades.
Do you want to develop your artistic skills for use in the advertisement or entertainment fields?
The School of Communication Arts has 3 areas to choose from. There's advertising art and design, graphic arts, and even video production.
Express yourself through traditional artistic media or the help of technology. PCTI's Communication Arts program can put you on the path to success.
Do you enjoy working in computer science and repair? The Academy of Information Technology is all about the future. What would our world be without computers?
Expanding the careers of software engineering, web design, PC support, and network design, students of this academy are bound to find a successful career in technology.
Do you have ambitions of working in law enforcement?
Or maybe you're known as the one with the green thumb in your family. In either case, the School of Service Careers is all about impacting the community.
From the criminal justice system and public safety to landscape design and environmental protection, if you are interested in the grander scheme of things, then check this program out.
Are you inventive and innovative? Do you have an interest in mathematics that spans to robotics and developing solutions for the real world?
It all falls under the umbrella of engineering. PCTI's engineering program gives students an advantage when it comes to design by utilizing cutting-edge technology.
So you want to be a star? Maybe the stage is where you belong.
Choose from drama, instrumental, or dance.
PCTI's School of Performing Arts is the place where every day is showtime.
Why not turn a hobby into a passion? If cars are your thing, then consider the School of Automotive Technology as the place to be.
You'll work on the latest models using state-of-the-art equipment.
PCTI ensures you'll succeed in the competitive marketplace.
Dare to be beautiful. At PCTI's School of Cosmetology, makeup, hairstyling, skincare, and manicuring are only the beginning.
Come and check out the place where it all begins.
And don't be late for your hair appointment.
Passaic County Technical Institute is a testament to the success of career and technical education. We've been honored by U.S. News and World Report with 3 bronze medals for being one of the best high schools in America. Through the years, PCTI has forged ahead with the vision of inspiring our students to be the best they can be. With the help of our exciting athletic programs and extracurricular activities, patriotic initiatives, and community outreach programs, students are sure to shine. Technology is evolving at an incredible pace. Just like our curriculum, we continue to provide students with the opportunity to realize their dreams and meet the demands of an ever-changing world. Invest in your future by building your own unique career path with Passaic County Technical Institute, where the education you imagine becomes a reality. There's a world of opportunity out there. We're here to help you make tomorrow a success. At PCTI, learning has no limit.
PCTI ensures you'll succeed.
You'll learn the skills necessary to make it happen.
Express yourself.
PCTI
is all about
impacting the community.
All about the future.
Bound to find a successful career.
The place where
you can get a jump start on building your knowledge.
Have ambitions.
State of the art.
Cutting edge technology.
Only the beginning.
Right here at PCTI.
Dr. Daniel Hale Williams performed the first ever heart surgery in 1893 without the assistance of x-rays, antibiotics, or modern anesthesia. Dr. Dan, as he was known, was born in Pennsylvania and received his medical degree from Chicago Medical School. In 1891, he founded Provident Hospital, the first interracial hospital in Chicago on the city's south side. The hospital established the first black nursing school. One fateful day, 2 years later, a young black man named James Cornish was brought to Provident Hospital with a serious wound on his chest. With his patient bleeding heavily, Williams saw only one option. He performed surgery on James' chest, fixing the severed artery, and then closed the wound. James was discharged 51 days later, fully recovered. He lived another 20 years, proving the success of Dr. Dan's operation. George Washington Carver was a botanist, agricultural chemist, and inventor. His innovation and determination helped to restore the struggling agricultural economy of the South during the early 20th century. Fascinated with nature from an early age, he grew a secret flower garden in the woods near his foster home. He earned the nickname the Plant Doctor by the time he was 10 years old because of his skill in caring for sick plants. At 27, Carver entered Iowa State College of Agriculture and graduated as one of their outstanding scholars. He was appointed their greenhouse director and an assistant instructor in botany. He earned his master's degree in 1896, and out of his long-held desire to help poor black Southerners, he accepted Booker T. Washington's offer to be the director of agriculture at Tuskegee Institute. Southern cotton farmers were bringing in smaller harvests and thus less money. Carver examined the soil and found the cotton plants had taken important nutrients from the soil. He discovered that peanuts, sweet potatoes, soybeans, and cowpeas return nitrogen to the soil, so he urged farmers to plant these in rotation with cotton. The crops helped feed the farmers' families and allowed them to grow more cotton than before. When the farmers struggled to find customers for their peanut and sweet potato crops, Carver made more than 300 products from peanuts, such as ink, shampoo, soap, and candy, and molasses, glue, and flour from sweet potatoes. Carver donated his life savings to Tuskegee to establish the George Washington Carver Foundation, which helped provide research opportunities for students. A museum was also founded in his honor. President Franklin D. Roosevelt ordered the dedication of the George Washington Carver National Monument, located near the scientist's childhood home in Missouri. It was the first national monument dedicated to an African American. George Washington Carver believed, "It is simply service that measures success." Madam C.J. Walker was the first African American millionaire businesswoman in the United States. Born Sarah Breedlove in Louisiana, she was orphaned at age 6. At age 20, she became a widow with a 2-year-old daughter to support. She worked as a washerwoman in St. Louis, Missouri, a job which required difficult manual labor with little pay. Still, she attended night school and saved what money she could to invest in her experiments. Sarah suffered from alopecia, a condition which left her hair dry and brittle. Sometimes patches fell out. Dissatisfied with the hair treatments available at the time, she mixed different combinations of oils in her bathtub until she discovered a satisfactory formula. The treatment worked for her, and she then began testing her wonderful hair grower on other people. It was a hit, and after moving to Denver, Colorado, she perfected her treatment and created other products, including a straightening comb, which she patented in 1905. Sarah sold products door to door and used her own before and after photos as proof of her product's effectiveness. Sarah married Charles Joseph Walker in 1906 and began calling herself Madam C.J. Walker. Her Walker method took off, allowing her to establish an office and manufacturing headquarters after only 1 year. With the help of her daughter and nieces, Walker recruited more saleswomen to help sell her products. In 1908, Walker opened a second office in Philadelphia, as well as a beauty parlor and school in Pittsburgh. Her hair courses eventually became available in New York, Indianapolis, and at black colleges throughout the South. In 1917, Walker built a 30-room mansion in New York and began to sponsor black artists and writers, even establishing the Madam Walker Theater Center in Indianapolis. By that time, her manufacturing company took up an entire city block and employed over 3,000 people. Madam C.J. Walker also donated generously to scholarship funds at Tuskegee and Palmer Memorial Institutes, and organizations such as the YMCA and the NAACP. Garrett A. Morgan was an African-American inventor born in 1875 in Kentucky. One night, a Cleveland Waterworks construction crew became trapped underground in a cloud of toxic fumes when their tunnel beneath Lake Erie exploded. First responders made 2 unsuccessful attempts to rescue the workers. With time running out, the authorities summoned Garrett and his brother Frank. They arrived with a gas mask Morgan had patented 2 years before. Earlier breathing devices were unreliable, so Morgan invented something better. Firefighters, engineers, chemists, and other workers who regularly encountered dangerous gases were already using his breathing device in other cities. He later upgraded his mask with its own air supply, and it became of great importance during World War I and later wars. At the Cleveland disaster site, the Morgan brothers and 2 volunteers strapped on the gas mask and made several brave trips through the darkness of the 200-foot-long toxic tunnel. They rescued more than 20 people. Morgan was awarded a medal from the International Association of Fire Engineers. The gas mask was not his first or last invention. Morgan worked as a handyman at a sewing machine shop in Ohio, and at age 26, sold his belt fastener for sewing machines. 8 years later, he opened a tailoring shop which manufactured dresses and suits. After only 1 year, Morgan and his wife purchased a home where they eventually raised 3 sons. After accidentally discovering a hair straightening substance in 1913, Morgan established the G.A. Morgan Hair Refining Company. The profit supported his continued research. In 1923, Morgan patented an automatic traffic signal which led to the overhead and sidewalk traffic lights that keep us safe to this day. I always knew I'd go to space. Mae Jemison, the first African-American woman astronaut, once said. Jemison, born in 1956, is also a physician, teacher, and the founder and president of 2 technology companies, the Jemison Group, and an advanced medical device company, Biosentient Corporation. Born in Alabama and raised in Chicago, Jemison was fascinated with science from an early age. Her father and mother were very encouraging. She said, "My parents were the best scientists I knew because they were always asking questions." Jemison entered Stanford University on scholarship when she was only 16 years old. She graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Chemical Engineering and a Bachelor of Arts in African and African American Studies. In 1981, she received her doctorate from Cornell University Medical College. Jemison practiced medicine in Los Angeles, California, before serving in the Peace Corps as a medical officer in Sierra Leone and Liberia for 2 years. In addition to speaking English, Jemison speaks Swahili, Russian, and Japanese. Inspired by the life of Sally Ride, the first woman in space, Jemison applied to NASA, and in 1987, she became one of only 15 people chosen out of 2,000 candidates for their astronaut corps. Jemison's first and only spaceflight began on September 12, 1992, when the Space Shuttle Endeavour took off for its second mission. Jemison served as the science mission specialist on the 8-day mission, which was a joint effort between the United States and Japan. Jemison resigned from NASA in March of 1993 to form the Jemison Group Incorporated, which highlights ways to bring science and technology to everyday life. The following year, she founded the Dorothy Jemison Foundation for Excellence, named in honor of her mother, which includes an international space camp for high school students called The Earth We Share. In 2011, the U.S. military chose this foundation to receive $500,000 in funding to help launch the 100-year Starship project. Our task, our mission, Jemison explained, is to make sure all the capabilities needed to mount a human interstellar mission exist. Jemison envisions public participation from everyone, regardless of who they are or where they come from. Someday, perhaps, more people will be able to confidently declare, "I always knew I'd go to space."